All right. Good afternoon, everyone. How are we doing today? I'm back. It's been a little while. Been about a week. Been a busy work week, actually. And it's all right, though. Work's got to get done, obviously. And, there's been some good movement this week. So I missed a little bit, unfortunately, but nothing too terrible, in my opinion. XRP obviously moved up pretty well. It broke out of that triangle that we were talking about for quite a while. I've been waiting on it really, and I believe I got some trades here and there and on it in the beginning stages, but um, I took some profits on it, and I really missed out on a bigger run, and I was a little unfortunate, but not gonna lose sleep over it, honestly. Anyway, it's a radar update for the week, really. Some changes that I've seen, just some updates, really, on some of the ones we've talked about in the past. It's January 17th, 2025, and we'll jump right in. Unity was one, excuse me, that I talked about being a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and that's still obviously the case. And now we know. I think the last time I talked about it was up in this area. I can't remember exactly, and look for that pullback. We've obviously gotten it, and now it hasn't hit the point 0.5 level yet. So I'll zoom in so I can show you what I'm talking about. It doesn't have to hit the point 0.5 though. That's the one thing, because it's a leading diagonal. It won't always go back. The pullback won't be as far because there's a lot of overlapping price action, meaning there's a lot of candles in the same kind of vicinity. So in this case, see how we have this kind of range of candles here, and see prices actually come back to that range of candles. So to break through that is not really all that great to see. We want it to kind of actually go into this range and really hold up there. So you can see I have some green support here. I also have some green support here, and it seems to be breaking down from that. So that almost will turn into orange, but it's in the middle of it. So I'll just leave it as green for now. But I was kind of thinking we might get one more wave down here to the S1 on the daily, and that's right at that zero point 0.5 level, and that's just under $20. So I have it here as $19.80, maybe $19.90, give or take in that range. So $20. And that really should be a nice entry point, in my opinion. This is one, two. This looks like, okay, so this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to zoom in just a second, but the A, B, C in the channel all looks really good. But when I have the channel up, you can see that we're actually breaking the EQ again. So it went up and then went down, and we kind of went up and went down. So it tells me that maybe there's one more leg down. But I really like $20. I really do. I really like this pullback. I've been on this count for quite a long time, so it makes sense to enter in this range, and that's probably going to be the plan. What I don't want it to do is to keep breaking down and then beyond this wave 4, or this orange dotted is important. I really want to hold this green. So seeing it going here and then bounce would be a good call. You can almost wait on it a little bit. If this were to kind of break down, you don't want to catch a falling knife, because this could be wrong, right? So you want to find that the balance, essentially, to make sure that the count is pretty accurate, and then try to find some waves going up and then back down, and then maybe get that pullback. So that's really the case. So it's really close. Okay, so this is that kind of range. This appears to be happening this month in January, so I like that. Again, this could be letter C here. Okay, and this could be a one, but this really does look like a 1, 2, 3, like 3 waves up, and now we're breaking down. Let's zoom in just for a second and just see how that looks. And again, it really does look like A, B, A, B, C. 1, 2, 3. I guess it could be a 5 here, but this is just such a big one. This sometimes looks like 1, 2, 3, 2, and then 3. And then see how we're meeting that EQ, and now it's getting resistance. So I just do like the fact that it comes down a little bit more into that $20 range. It's also some big, pretty strong candles here, so I can kind of fill some of those. It actually looks like to be a gap right here, which I never noticed. And guess where that gap's at? Oh, this is funny. Guess where the gap's at? $19.96 to 19.84. So that's where the daily S1's at, is that gap. So that could fill the gap and then just take off. So another good thing to look at. Um, the 4-hour MAs are starting to curl down. So, if it starts to curl down and it kind of crosses like that bearish cross type, then it might take a little while to come back up. But I just don't see that. That's one thing. But I'm not going to worry about the 4-hour MAs too much. I'm going to look at the 12-hour MAs. Oh, those are the same as the 8. So see, yeah. So here we go. So we're finding that 50 as resistance. Come back to that 200, and again, here's that. Here's where that's at. So come back. Yeah. So that makes more sense. So I always like the 12-hour MAs anyway. I always find them being better support guidance here for kind of where price is going. But we definitely want to see that 200 to start to curl, and then we want to get above that red. So overall, we could see some good price action here to kind of get us back into the top half of this channel, and then ultimately look to break out. That should confirm all of that. So, but Unity looks good. I like you a lot. Been on it for a while. Been waiting for a while. So, all right, TGT. This is a big one because I've talked about it a lot. Number one. Number two was the fact that I had this as 5 up, 1, and then 1 and 2. But look what happened. It broke down where I thought it was a. Oh boy. It broke down where I thought it was a 2, so that can't be a 2 anymore. So to decide you learn Elliott wave, you got to know that there's rules, and this cannot come down this A, right? Or this was 2. I changed it now. So what I have it now is there's 2 different ways of looking at this, but they ultimately have the kind of the same result. Is the fact that this is 5 here, which I really truly believe, and this is A, B, C as a flat. Okay, because it went higher and it went barely lower. So it went higher than 5 for the flat, and it went barely lower than A for the flat for this to complete the C. So I think this is a flat. The count is funky though. It's a little bit tricky to count this. So it could be like 1, 2, 3, boom, 1, 2, 3. It's really difficult to count this. This is not a leading anymore. There was also an idea that maybe the other part of this was maybe that this was not 3 and this was 3. So it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. So this would be 5 up here. But I don't like this because of how large the 4 would be, because I have this as a triangle. Okay. For that would be inner 3. I like it as a bigger 4. So I like it as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is wave 1, as opposed to all this is wave 3. It was too choppy for me to think that. So I'm going to keep that 5 there. I'm going to keep this as a flat and then move forward. I'm not going to over dissect Elliott wave, okay, on charts. I'm just not. I'm not going to put too. Look, it's good to identify the trend with Elliott wave. It is, and Elliott wave is fantastic. I'm not trying to bash it at all. But I'm also not going to sit there and spend hours trying to figure out a plan. No, overall, I'm looking at this thing as being an ABC, and now let's move forward. Okay, that's why it's important to have a stop loss, because if you're wrong and it breaks down it, you're just out of the trade, and then it is what it is. But if you spend too much time, you're investing so much time on one chart, and then it breaks down and you just get almost defeated. Even if you didn't trade it, you still can be defeated because you're like, oh, now what is it, right? So try to keep it more simple when you're dealing with Elliott wave, and then use your pivots, which I'm about to show you right now. This is the 4-hour, 5 up, A, B, C, and look what happens. It really broke down through the hourly pivots, and what it do? It hit the S4. We talk about when there's strong price action, either down or up in pivots, expect to see the S4 or even the S5 to be tapped. In this case, it tapped the S4 and then it bounced. And this really does look like a 1, 2, 3 down, which is awesome. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, B, and then 1, 2, 3. And now check this out. We got this 1, 2. So this is looking like we're ready to rock and roll right here. And another thing too, when I kind of looked at it a little bit more, it also looks like a reaccumulation range in a way. Okay, kind of come up here, we're touching the bottoms here, we're getting to the top, coming back down, and we got this really strong on the bottom. Okay, with a little bit of volume here. Obviously, there's a good strong volume in this candle. That was a really strong. I mean, this thing just tanked and just went right back up during that same time frame. So it was good to see that. So volume really did pick up, and a lot of buyers came in. So I like that. Okay, I like this area. This 128 bucks. So right now it's hitting the EQ of this range. It's also trying to break up above this green, where this was orange and now it's green again. This green here is now orange. So when I have breakdowns, I just change the color to kind of help me identify, like, oh, okay, now that's probably going to be resistance down the road. Okay, because that was resistance. It came to support, and then we broke it down again. So is it strong? No, not necessarily that strong, but it appears to be some good a good spot to look for. It's also at the top of the range too, which is interesting. Okay, but we got the one potential 1-2 here in play, so I like that a lot. When I kind of zoom in, it could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an ABC. And then check this out. Let's see what the fibs look like. Well, what do you know? Pull back to the 50. When I pull fibs, look at that. A 1-2 looks to be very well in play here. Look, and if this is a 1-2, we should have a very strong 3. And look at those candles on the 3, on the start of the 3. Okay, this is going to be potentially the wave 1 of a larger 3. Okay, so meaning 3, meaning there's 5 waves in the 3. Okay, so wave 1, right? I'm sorry, it's wave 1 of 3. That's what it was. Okay. Oh man, LA wave is going to drive you nuts, I'm sure, especially if you're not used to it. But it's wave 1 of overall 3. All right. So we're going to see some better price action coming through here. That's kind of why I'm bringing this up. I want to see better volume coming out of this. Okay. I want to see some strong volume, some bigger candles, really get up back to this top portion here. All right. So let's go back to the daily real quick. And if we got a 1-2, by the way, look at that wick. That was nice. Look what we're doing now. So here we are back at the daily. Okay. The pivot is being tapped. So now on the daily pivots, we just went from R1 to S1, R1 to S1, and now we're seeing the pivot as, excuse me, as resistance. Okay, this is good. It's the end of the week. I'm not sure how much trading there's going to be after hours. So going into next week, I think Monday's a holiday, so it'll be Tuesday. What are we going to see from that? Well, we already got a good pullback, so we shouldn't see anything drop below this, in my opinion. If it does kind of drop a little bit, it could be the buyer opportunity, and then let it go, or let it break above the pivot and hold and close. Okay, the target looks really good. I do want to go long on target. I don't spend this much time on something and not go long or short or make a trade. So I am preparing to go into this. Okay, I just want to get a little bit more confirmation because the ABC flat, it threw me off a little bit. Because I was looking to go here, and then it really, really broke down. I was like, whoa. And I actually started thinking that maybe, I'm like, gosh, am I completely off here? And is this all, just a flat a correctional wave overall? Because on the weekly, as you can see, it almost looks like an ABC. Okay. But that's the weekly, though. Sometimes it's hard to determine like what's going on inside this, when really this is this is a 1, A, B, C is a flat, right? But when you look at this, you're like, oh, this looks like an ABC up, and that's possible. Okay, that's not out of the woods here yet. Okay, but when we zoom in, we do see the 5 waves and the ABC flat. Okay, so here's more confirmation. If you're like, yeah, I'm interested in target, but this kind of has me hesitant, which it should, then wait for the break. Wait for it to go up above the weekly pivot and then close, because now you have some support there. And sure enough, that is definitely support. When I look, let's highlight what pivot looks like. Okay, that's your pivot line, right? Look at these wicks. It was holding, and then it broke down. It kind of had to go back up. It bounced around it, right? And it kind of shot through here. So there's definitely resistance and support there on the weekly. So that's a good weekly pivot right there. Okay, obviously they're good. We should expect that, but that's why that's there. All right. So that would be a really good case. So this could be like, that 1, 2, and then we're working on the 3, the 4, the 5 inside the channel. Okay. So that would be kind of nice to see. Like we get the 1, 2, 3 up to the pivot, or maybe break the pivot and then test it for 4, then 5, and then kind of come back around and battle around a little bit. I don't know how that's going to be just yet. But a lot of good volume came in on this. And looking at this weekly candle, it's not like the greatest candle, honestly, because I don't like how it broke down. It broke below the EQ, but next week's going to be very telling on the direction this is going. If it starts to keep breaking down, then I actually believe that this might not be 2. I'm just going to move this here for a second. That 2 might be here. All right, down in this area, but I don't think that's happening. All right, that's really not where I'm at. To me, that's 15%, 20% chance. 80% that the 2 is here, because I feel like this was the ABC, and then that we're starting that new the new waves. Okay. All right. This one right here has me really excited. ROBO. I've talked about it a little bit, and I'm starting to see that this thing wants to go up. It really looks like it. So we have, again, I talked about this being a 1, 2, larger 1, 2, right? Then we have a 1, 2 inside that, and then we have a 1, 2 inside that. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. The next step to this is a large 3. And it's a break of these double yellows. I'm sorry, the double oranges. It's a break of the R1 and then hitting R2 and messing around with R2. So what it's going to do is it's most likely, what I'm seeing here, and this should be go time. I don't think there's much time left here. There might be a little bit of wiggle room here, but it's the next steps here are to go up. Unless this is completely wrong, then it should break down. Okay. But I don't see how this is wrong right now. I just don't. I like see how I put these orange lines right here? It's really pushing up with like upward support. So it was here, upward support, and then starting to do that. And the reason I put it here, because when I zoom in, this does look like a 1, 2 with a flat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. And now we're starting that 1 again for 3. So that's why I have that orange line there. It's kind of a guide for me. Okay. And look what it did. It held up on that weekly pivot, and such a strong weekly finish, right? That's really good to see. This is the ETF for like AI and such things of that nature. So it tells me that if you're into AI stocks, that we're probably going to see some good AI movement still going into this year. And this is just it's an ETF, so it probably has a lot of those in there. And just a nice, strong resistance report area here in green. It just looks great. I mean, it's really below, above, below, above, below, above. So a lot of back and forth. A nice channel here, but was more of a breakdown channel, and then V'd right back into a channel again. I told you I like those. I like that price action when we go out of a channel, break down, but V back into it, and then we create a channel again. So this was like the battle of the buyer and sellers, and the sellers won, but then buyer says, nope, wait a minute, we're coming in even stronger, and now they're back in it, and the sellers are like, oh shoot, or the short sellers are starting to really battle here because there was all this buying pressure coming from the bottom. So this looks really good. Okay. I like this a ton, and I'm probably going to jump in this myself. And at this point, I'm just going to put that weekly pivot as my stop loss. So my stop loss is going to be probably actually under this wick, just to be kind of safe. And That low of that wick is 54.66. So let's just call it an even $54 or maybe 54.50. You know, I just like to go a little bit below that. I don't want to go too far below. But yeah, I like that a lot. And then when I zoom in on that one, just to kind of identify this count so you guys can see, or so you all can see. So there's that 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So it's more of like a leading diagonal type price action here. And this was even, this is another one here to kind of end the, so it's a leading diagonal into an ending diagonal, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then as you can see, so there's my 5, okay? Check this. So A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B. Oh, and yeah, that's right. We were talking about this. The last time I talked about Robo, I said there's this 1, 2, 3. And it says either can break down or it's going to go here and then go up. I think it was right here. It wasn't that long ago we talked about ROBO. And sure enough, it broke down. So that's okay because that broke down just low enough to make a lower low here. Like this actually could even be like a Wyckoff accumulation here, something like that. Yeah, it looks kind of like that actually. And look how it's kind of blasted off from there too. So that's actually really nice. I didn't even notice that until right now. So there's the volume difference. So see the volume on this one big large candle, see the volume here kind of, and then it's starting to ramp a little bit up. So that's good. So we want to see that volume to ramp up because we want to see volume come into this, meaning there's buyers coming in. Buyers are getting ready to go. So that's nice. So that does kind of look like that there actually. I'm going to leave that there. Okay, good. And yeah, I mean, this is ready to rock and roll. I want to, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. So we're getting back up to that 5 there. We should see a little bit of a pullback. So probably a little bit higher than pull back to the top of the range and then go. At this point, if you want to get in, just get in, right? If you want to get in, it's your decision, not mine. And that's probably what I'll end up doing too, because I'll just probably get ready to get in here. And because I see this overall going up much higher than $50, of course, it's at 58 right now. I think it was on the weekly. Yeah. So my wave 3 is right around the $77 range. And overall, larger 3 is at just about $90, so $89. Okay, is my minimum expected target. Right. And, you know, maybe at that point, maybe it taps 100 because, you know, I'm assuming market is that point, you know, doing very well. There will be this pullback here at some point. So there will be a pullback and then finally go. But overall, this looks great. These double oranges as resistance, that's really strong. But as we push up into it, that resistance is only going to hold off for so much longer. We're going to break above. We might come back and retest it. And that's the ideal situation. When you have strong resistance and support, you see a break of it, you really like to see it retest. And if you do and it holds, that is your buying or shorting opportunity. If it's breaking down and it comes back up to retest and it's not breaking through, that's a short opportunity. It's the same in reverse and the long. So that's getting ready to do this. The R1 is right here. I will say this, the R1 is right here. So it could come up there and tap it, but I think it's actually going to kind of blast through the R1 just because of what I'm seeing right here. Because I don't think it's going to come on the R1 and back to the pivot. And I don't think it's going to do all that. I think it's going to go through here. It's going to get through this really strong resistance, and it's going to kind of keep going and then maybe come back to retap it for that support. That is my what I'm kind of anticipating there. Okay, that's ROBO. That's a really good one. Okay, Square SQ, right? Or Block. It's called Block. So this has been. Here's why I want to bring this up. Okay, I brought up SQ a long time ago on one of the earlier videos. It's been a while since I think I spoke about it. This green has been, you know, support resistance. It's really been resistance for a while, but when it broke through, it just kind of came down and hit it, and then it bounced off of it, right? Like, you know, what they call it, a dead cat bounce type. The dead cat bounced off resistance, came back up, and then broke right through it. Then it kind of found it as resistance. It's been resistance more than it's been support. So that's one thing to understand. So, you know, in my opinion, because it's above it now, and now it's potentially holding it, right, at the S1, the daily S1 it's holding right now. If this thing gets above the pivot, you know, it's go time. I mean, this thing is bouncing right now. Okay, it's bouncing on something that it had I circled on, right? Support in green, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, broke through. So 6 different times. This is the 3-day candles. 6 different times it hit as resistance, and now it's potentially hitting it as support. Okay, if it breaks down, that's not good. Okay, so if it needs to, and if we're bullish on this, we need to see it go up. But I mean, it's looking good because this kind of looks like a 1, ABC 2. This looks like a 1, 2. All right, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it looks like a 1, 2. So that could be a nice bouncing area there, and really kind of take off. This bit has been in this range for 911 days, maybe even longer. 914. Yeah, 914, and finally it broke out. That's a long time to be in a range. Okay, so if this thing starts to want to take off, you know, that's so good. And look at the moving averages. The 50 did get above the green of 200, so that's a bullish sign. And now everything is starting to curl up. So that means the averages are even curling up, the 50 and the 200. Those are really good signs from a range. So another good bullish chart. There's a lot of these charts that are looking very bullish. Okay, some of them are popped off. Your micro strategies and what have you. Hood, that one took off a while back. Hood was like this. Okay, it just came out of it sooner. It came out of the range sooner. I'll just real quickly go to Hood. Someone actually asked about Hood too. That's Peter. So there was that range here for Hood. Right, and there's the ABC flat, and then they went up for the 3 and 4. Now it's working on the 5. Okay, and it's going right back to basically all-time highs, which is $85. So this thing is really starting to take off. This could be like a 1, 2, and it's working on the 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. This 5 actually could be a little higher. I just have it there because of the weekly R1, honestly. You know, this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then done. But it really could keep going, honestly. You know, when things get this bullish, you know, sometimes they just keep rolling, right? People are bullish, people are buying, you know, everybody's jumping in, not just, you know, people that were kind of anticipating and reading charts like we do. See, we came in around here, right? We talked about Hood down in this area. Actually, I want to say we literally talked about Hood at about $8. Because we saw this as a like a C coming down because it kind of met with this A. So this was like an A, B, C. This looks like 1, 2, 3, and then 5 down. So we saw this and identified this as a flat, and that was a really good sign. And then we were literally talking about this for a little while because we were talking about how candles were starting to get larger coming out of the bottom of this range. And sure enough, it did. Look, there's one candle here. Right, and then look at this next big one. So these 2 back-to-back monster candles, weekly candles, which identified the bottom and identified that wave 3 was in progress. Okay, so you know when you're in TWC, this is the kind of stuff you get. I think everyone that watches this is in TWC, but if you're sharing my videos and maybe there are people that are on the fence or they're still just kind of playing around with the idea of maybe trading, TWC is where it's at. We did talk about this. This is not just me talking crap or making something up. We literally talked about Hood in this range, and you know, got in trades here. I am not in this trade anymore, but I did ride this trade up for a little while and got out of it. It might have been around here when it dropped down, and I just never got back in because that's what happens. There's so much things going on, especially in alts. Plus, I don't like to trade a lot of stocks. I try to like hold them for a while for taxes and things like that. I'm not just trading stocks all the time. It's not really, it's not my deal. It's not how I roll. I do like to grab stocks and let them run. Obviously, it's always fun. So that's where Hood's at. But I think my example was that we had this range, and that's kind of like what we're seeing with SQ. Okay. All right. Last on the stocks, I want to talk about a new one. It's not new to me, but it's new to the market, and it's EXOD. It's called Exodus. It actually just rang the bell because it just got into the New York Stock Exchange just recently. I actually got involved in this when they were going to go public. They did a like a private. If you okay, this is what Exodus is a wallet, okay, and they decided to go. They partnered up with Algo, and they created a. It's basically the stock market for what am I trying to say? Uh, uh, like all coins or whatever you want to call that. Um, Gosh, I can't think of the word I'm looking for right now. But anyway, they asked everyone that was using them, and if you have Exodus wallet, you might remember this. And I don't know how, I've had Exodus wallet for a very long time, and so I remember getting this message once: says, "Hey, we're going to go public with our company, but we're going to do it through the crypto market somehow." I can't remember exactly the wording, unfortunately. And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. So I bought. I don't know. I didn't buy that much, and it was kind of expensive, to be quite honest. But it wasn't $38. It was I don't know. I think it was like $18. And so when I bought in, I didn't buy a whole lot because I just wanted to almost be a part of something because it seemed very innovative, and it didn't seem like I never even heard of that before because it wasn't a stock. It was it was crypto, whatever, but it was a crypto stock, right? So it's still a security, but it was in the crypto world. And so I bought it, whatever, and then I just forgot about it. This was a long time ago, and it literally I remember at one point I looked at it and I'm like, gosh, it went to like $1. And I was like, oh, that was total bust, right? I was thinking like, whatever, okay. It wasn't a big loss, honestly. And I didn't even know it wasn't even like I could set a stop loss or anything because I didn't even know how to trade it. It was, now I understand how to trade it now, but um, the moral of the story is though, what happened is they were, I guess their end goal was to get into the New York Stock Exchange. Well, that actually it was approved, and all of a sudden it went from $1 to like I don't know $60. Yeah, 60. It was like in the 60s, and then it jumped onto the New York Stock Exchange. It started like in the 60s, and I remember thinking like, holy crap, because I remember it being at $1. And then I was like really like kicking myself, like, man, why didn't I just buy a bunch more at $1? But either way, it came in, and then just like any IPO or any new company does, a lot of hype and it sells off. Well, I think the sell-off actually might be done because this is connected to Bitcoin. This company holds Bitcoin in their in the reserves, and so this is like a MicroStrategy or like these other ones that hold Bitcoin, and it's a crypto wallet. I don't know of any other crypto wallets that are in this New York Stock Exchange. This is like the first one. I guess you can consider Coinbase, but it's not a wallet. Although Coinbase has a wallet, but that wallet isn't separate from Coinbase. So maybe that can be considered. But this is just strictly a wallet, and you can interchange your coins on the wallet just like any other. But anyway, what I want to bring it up was I think there's actually an opportunity here. I actually believe at bottom here, okay, this is the 4 hour. By the way, look how many days this thing has been on. It hasn't been that long. It looks like it came in December, and then now it's in January, so a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks. It hasn't been that long. So, okay, real quickly, before I go back to the 4, see where the daily pivot's at? Well, it tapped it twice and it came down. And it looks like it's going to try it again. That's a good sign. I like that because what I like to see a breakthrough and then look for that R1. And I think we're going to get that because I actually believe that this is a 1, 2, and then a 3 would be that one that broke through the pivot on the daily. So here's where I'm at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And look at these 3 candles with volume. Okay. Now I'm not sure what the market cap on this thing is. It's probably pretty low. This is something to keep on the radar for sure. It's at 38 bucks, so it's a little pricey. But maybe as it goes up, if this thing starts to take off, maybe they'd be like, oh, we're gonna do a stock split. I don't know. I don't know the logistics on why people do stock splits. I'm assuming it's for price in most cases. But anyway, I got this as 5 up and then a pretty clear ABC down. And now it looks like it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's like kind of going into this like wave 2. Excuse me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it's so choppy. It's so hard to read this thing. But ultimately, I wanted to kind of get its way up to where this top was. So like maybe $43 and then kind of come back, find some support and go. Because it's a 1, 2. I want to be a 1, 2. And I don't think there's not really a pullback here yet. So like there's this choppy crap here. 1, 2. It kind of looks like a 4, a triangle, and 5. Okay, there that might be it right there actually. God, this is so bad. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 might be right there. Yeah, I hit the 60 too. Oh, actually hit the 50.5, almost the 0.618. That could be the 2 right here. So this kind of does look like a 3 because see how it's kind of thrusting upward. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is 4. 5. Yeah, okay. All right, cool. So 1, 2. Looks like we're almost done with 3. Because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 would get us. Okay, 3 would be good. This is good. So here. Let me show you something. This is that wave B. So we want to get above that. That's at basically $41. Yeah, $41 exactly, actually. This Exodus one, I would be really, I would be looking at this if you're looking at getting into a trade on a stock, because again, this is linked to Bitcoin because it holds Bitcoin, so it's going to move like MicroStrategy, move like these other ones. It's not a miner stock either, so it's it's not like they're forcing to sell to be profitable. I'm assuming they make profits on their exchanging of coins in between, because when you do an exchange, that's how I imagine most of these exchanges even make their money to begin with. It's a whole another conversation now. Okay. I'm gonna put this here, and I'll throw this out in the chat. So that's that $41. So here's what I'm thinking: 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Break the B for 3. Come down to back to 4, and then 5 to hit the top of this at about 44 bucks, give or take. And that will be the 1, 2, 1, and then we'll wait for that 2, and then it's go time. Okay, so this is good. This is like a nice setup here. This is something we want to watch. I'll keep this on my radar so I can keep bringing it up. I'm going to watch for this thing to break $41 first, and then I want to see it get a little bit higher and kind of hit this top area, and then I want to find that pullback, probably right back to where it's at now, essentially, which is kind of ironic. You could almost just go in right now, but again, that would be the carriage before the horse a little bit here. We want to see it play out first and do what we're thinking, okay, which is that's the case, because that's going to add more confidence as opposed to going in right here. Unless you want to, you can go in right here, you do whatever the heck you want. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this thing go above, come back down here, boom, 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 boom. And then this area right here is where I want to go long. Now, again, you're going to be like, well, that's in that same area. It is, but it also gave me the rest of the waves. And I was looking for that ABC back because what if okay, what if the ABC, what if the 5 up is right, but then this C comes down like right here, right? We don't know. And that's going to go past this area. So that could just be a bigger pullback. That we don't know how that's going to work out. But I'll tell you this all looks really good. Okay. Overall, this looks good. This might be a good opportunity. And if this thing starts to get hot, people are going to start finding out about this. And this is super early and where it's at. This thing could start rolling. Okay. It could start rolling really well. Um, you know, you want to see what potential looks like. Okay, let's see what potential looks like here. Okay, so wave 3 minimum would be $75, and wave 5 minimum would be about 92. And it's at $38. It's pretty nice. And this is that's minimum expected. So we could see even 3 to get closer to that 90, and then extended wave 5 could be $128. So this thing could break 100. All right. Once people start to realize what this is and see, oh, it's connected to Bitcoin, maybe that might be something to look forward to. I'm going to just keep this here. So anyway, that's Exodus. Look it up, and also let me know too if you actually use the wallet, and tell me what you think. I actually like the wallet a lot. It's been pretty clean. They're very it's a clean wallet to use. The owner has been very just straightforward on emails, because when I did that whole thing, I was almost wondering, like, am I getting scammed here? But no, I had to do fingerprints and all these things, so it was legit, and I was like, oh, right on. So anyway, that's what's up here. I like this a lot, and I'm going to keep this, and I'm definitely watching for that price action to come up and during the next week or two. But looks like it's happening in January, which is really exciting. And again, here's that wave B, right here. Okay, so here, this is interesting too. So if it breaks above that, and then it could come down, maybe it could hold as support with a pivot. So then we'll kind of figure out how that's going to work with the daily pivot there too. So that will also be some confirmation. Um, yeah, so that would be right there. That's that $42. We'll come back here. We'll get denied, come back, and then we'll break through. Okay, yeah, I can see it. Yeah, so maybe a wick above, come back down for a 2, and then for a 3, really get going. Ultimately, though, to really confirm that this count is really going up is actually this is that B from the bigger pullback here, and that's at $62.28. So that's like really confirming that this pullback is done and that we're going higher. Okay, we want to look for that one. All right, Bitcoin, the 4 hour. I know this is going to be crazy with all my colors that I have here, but I have these colors because I'm really focusing on support and resistance levels. So I'm changing colors when they break them. And, we came up here and we really broke down, and then we had a really good, nice, just bounce here, and then bounce off the S1, and then really break out of this wedge. And then since then, it's been going really nice. And not only that, but it came down and tested the daily pivot, and then it broke through the R1, and it broke through, which was that resistance before, and it broke down, and it broke right through it, right? So we should see that as probably holding as support. That's a really good pullback, in my opinion, to about 102.6, maybe 102.7, 102,700. Because I want to see this green actually hold up as support, as you can see it here and there. So here it is here, where it was resistance. That was kind of the started up. And here again. Okay. So those are 2 points that showed that was really strong resistance, because look what happened when we hit it. We really fell. Hit it, really fell. Here we break through it. I like to see it hold. Okay, I really do. Now I know there's been Chris was talking about how it's going to go back to the daily pivot, and that's okay. That's fine. I mean, Chris obviously knows what he's talking about. And that's, that would be the case too. But my only concern is though, is breaking back down through there again. That's the only thing. That's some pretty strong support resistance there. So if it does come back to the pivot, we really need to see kind of break above that again. But I was kind of hoping it didn't. I was kind of really hoping that this would keep going and then the pullback could be into that. So that's just my opinion on that. I'm really trying to, again, to stay focused on where support and resistance levels are at, and that's clearly one, and it's pretty strong. I do the double line because there's clearly two. So, and it helps my eyes and trains my eyes to saying that's a good key area, as you can see. Okay. What's pretty wild is we're almost at all-time highs again. What's funny is the irony of Bitcoin was, I think everyone either thought 100K would be like a top and then it would come back down and then, that would be like a make or break. It's funny because we've just really been hovering around 100K. Everyone thought it would break through and then it would hold the support and keep going, but it's literally just hovering around it, which is, it's like a magnet. 100K is so strange. It's basically what, no one said, oh, it's just going to hover around 100K for, 3 months. No one said that. It was either or. It was either break down and then come back up and break above it on a strong, but yeah, it's funny. Life is interesting when it comes to trading. All right, XRP. Okay, it broke out of the triangle. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit and I'm going to show you the 15-minute because I think we're seeing a triangle here again on the 15-minute. This is from the top. I thought it was going to break down right here. Okay, but it really didn't, and it held that 15-minute pivot. So this green is pretty strong as support. Okay, and then it came back down. So I think it's an A, B, C, D, and a possible E. And then we're going to have one more run up. Okay, one more run up. I don't think it's going to be much, but it looks like we're going to get another run up. It looks like that. This is one of those things where you want to be very cautious because when you're trading at triangles, you want them to look. You don't want them to be like on the lower end, like almost be straight. You want it to be very much like a triangle, and this is what I mean. You want the triangle to be like that, right? Have more angle to it and not be more flat, and it doesn't have that well. So I'm hesitant. I put a little range up here too because I wanted to see if this was a Wyckoff accumulation or possibly Wyckoff distribution. So that's a possibility too. So here's what we could see. It had this monster run up, right? Such a good run. There's going to be some profit taking for sure. And when you look at the 4 hour, it went to the R4. The R5 would be another target at $3.55. That's if this is a wave 4 here. I could see it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, something like that, maybe. It doesn't look like it's done, but it definitely looks like it's close. And when I say done, meaning like it could come back all the way down to like this area again. Okay, that's just my thoughts on where I think this at, because we did have this. This is a triangle wave 4. Okay. So it should only have 5 waves up to complete 5 and then come back down again. Well, the 5 expected target is $3.77. Well, I told you that R5 was $3.55. So there's a little give and take. Now, euphoria is going to probably kick in as this keeps going up. And then people that bought, who knows where, down here or even lower, which is scary, they might be like, okay, it's finally now to talk real profits, and they might really pump it out to bring it back down again and to make money, of course. So you got to be careful. We are in euphoric stages on XRP, and volume is starting to kick up again, so that's good. We want to see volume kick up as it goes up, but we don't want it to see it spike either. So we want to see gradual move ups, not like a big wham one of these, because that might be a top. All right. So just be cautious if you're in XRP. If you're trading it and hopefully you're making money, that's good. But just make sure you you're not gonna, you know, you don't want to lose all your profit, right? So maybe, you know, if you're in this, maybe take a little bit off the table. Okay, because if this thing, let's say it goes up to R3, R4 in the daily, and then it starts to really wick down after it hits, let's say it hits $4, right? You know, $4 is a pretty remarkable spot for XRP, and so maybe that, you know, could trigger a lot of selling, and you could see this thing really come down again. Okay, so just be cautious what we're seeing. There's a lot of people talking online about. I mean, I'm not even kidding you. $100 XRP, $1,000 XRP. You know, I've seen 25, 30, $40 XRP. Okay, I guess that's a little bit more realistic. $100 XRP, you better be some crazy stuff happening. And I don't think we're just going to go to $100 in one candle. There's going to be a lot of you know, back and forth, you know, ranging, things like that. Well, here's what we don't want to see with XRP. XRP is, for the most part, has shown us that it can go up and it can go down, right? It's been that way in the life of XRP. Okay, I actually have one here that's literally the life of XRP. It's right here. Okay, so XRP, what has it shown us? It's shown us as really good runs. It shows us that it does these triangles, and then it does show us come back. Now, as you can see here, we'll go to the monthly. Okay, so boom, big run, 2014. Okay, August 2014. This looks like when it started. I was not in XRP at that time. That would have been awesome. Could you imagine being XRP at that moment and just holding this whole time? You're crushing. But see how it went up and then straight back down, up and then down here again. Now it didn't obviously go straight down, which is really cool. But what it did was it went into a large, what we think is a triangle. We actually do think that this is, because this looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 triangle and now 5. All right. So that's like super interesting, because what does that tell you? Well, okay, that means 5. That means they're going to have a pretty big pullback. Would you be surprised if XRP had a big pullback? You shouldn't be. I mean, it looks like it's had big pullbacks every time it's gone up, and every time it's gone into this area, it's pulled back, and it just looks like it just pulled back forever. And so, you know, XRP has been great, but it's, you know, it's just 2 big, large monthly candles. It's got another one coming in. So I'm a big XRP fan. I love using it to move, you know, to do transactions. I think it's probably what it's going to be. It's going to be used for transactions more and more because it's so fast and convenient. I mean, it's instant. If you haven't used XRP to move money around, try it. See how fast and easy it is. It's fantastic. But anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. Okay, so you know this right here is measured out on this wave 4. I'll just tell you this: that does have its $26 target, but that does not mean we have to hit that. I think I did the math, and it would have to be like a $2 trillion market cap. That's if we measure it based on market cap, but I know that that's kind of speculative, so I'm not going to go off that. But I do know that the weekly R5 is at $8 and $8 and $8. You know, when it's not hard, it's hard to see when I gotta look closer. It's $8.58. $8.50. Okay, that's the weekly R5. All right. So I mean, it's pretty hard to see, like especially like coins like XRP, which has got, you know, one of the top 3. You know, so I mean, it's normally if it goes to the higher R4 or 5s, that's kind of like a top, really, honestly. So anyway, this is just things to look for. All right, I'm not trying to be bearish here, but I am trying to be cautious. You know, this definitely looks like 1, 2. This definitely looks like a 3, 4. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could it get to R2? I do think so. That's a chance. And then the pullback would be better. I like it because I don't want to see the pullback right now. If the pullback goes below this cluster, I don't want to go back below the cluster. I want it to go up and then back into close to the cluster and then back up again. That's what I want to see. So there's potential movement coming up still. I mean, there should be some upside here for sure. I don't see any signs of it really breaking down. But I'm also not going to be blind to the fact and feel, get emotional about XRP is going to change the world. I don't think we need that, right? So going back to the daily pivots, it's hitting R2 and it is struggling. I've seen that in the past where R2 does show a lot of resistance as well. If it does start to break above that, then that's pretty safe to jump in, honestly, because as that, we're going to R3. Normally we go to R4, R5. So R1 is like the bouncing area. R2 is kind of, I don't know. From what I've seen, it definitely could be a stop sign and like, hey, go back to, a little bit and then reset sometimes. Okay. Is there a fair value gap? Well, this wick here kind of covers that. And it's funny how it wicked down and it wicked down right into this wick. I did notice that actually. And I wish I had noticed this. Okay. This really upset me that I missed this because that was a really nice buying opportunity because this wick started filling the fair value gap from this wick. See how it went right to the top of there? That's really nice. If you're ever looking for a place to like I want to get an enter point, you see something like this where you have this breakout candle and you have a wick over here, you can use that area as a possible like you would set a place to buy. Okay. And sure enough, that's probably what a lot of people did, and it paid off for them. So they set like a buying spot about 290, 295 maybe would have been safe. You don't want to go too exact. So 293, 294. And then it really bounced really well. But it's right back to the resistance points again. When I look at this definitely looks like kind of a triangle here still. Let's go back to that 15-minute. One more time. Yeah. Does not look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And kind of a flat going. So it's hitting this EQ area here. I was kind of thinking maybe come back to here to $3, and then I might grab an entry, grab some right here. But if it starts to really push through this, then I'm going to wait for it to hit. I had some a little bit of some technical difficulties there with the internet, maybe. So yeah, see how it's starting to. If it passes through here, I look for this orange and then come back to this line because this EQ is pretty good. But I was kind of thinking it might break down. That was my initial thought, and then that would be the complete of the A, B, C, D, E. Okay, and then I like that as a possible long. All right, I'll move on. MATIC. We've been, I've been pretty vocal about MATIC in the past. We've had some really good entries, and now we've had a really strong pullback to the 786 level. And what I think is what happens, it fell into a nice accumulation range. And we've kind of gotten that spring out of that. So I just want to show something real quick. Okay, so as it came down here, it went into this white range. I kind of have it in white. That was a distribution range, and then it dropped down and it sprung back into that range and then held to the EQ support and broke out. That's big. So remember how I tell you I like to see price V back into a range and then go into it and then either pass it or go into a range and then go past. In this case, it was really bullish and it just found support again at the EQ and then run through. Now look at this yellow line. Yellow line is really important. See how this strong candle breaks through the yellow line here? That was big. So see how it comes back here? That's your long. Okay. It's really nice to see this clear of support as a long. Because what you can do is, even if you got in over here, right? Even if you like see it bounce and then you're right here, it's above the pivot, like it's above the pivot, and you saw it get close to this yellow. It didn't tap it because maybe it's not perfect, but see how it just came in and wicked? This is perfect for a long here. Okay, right here. And then you can, if you wanted to, you can put your stop loss down here, but you could just put your stop loss on this one, or maybe just a little bit below the yellow. Okay. But anyway, yeah, from there, and then I had a larger, this turquoise is kind of like a compression wedge, and it broke out of that. It's hitting R1 and finding some resistance. So, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we're going to keep going up, and we're just going to see a little bit more. It looked like we might have gotten the pullback here. It's kind of doing a doji. I have a feeling this might keep going up here. If it comes down, I would be into this for sure. Add some more bag to it. If it happens to come into this area, let's say it comes back down to here, that's nice, honestly, because you can set this as a nice stop loss again. So if it comes back down to the 48-cent level, maybe 48.5, it's pretty nice. Okay, but I think that we might keep going up here. All right, and get above this and get above this orange and really kind of find ourselves up in this 55-cent range. So just be cautious here. If you want to enter here, that's okay. You can maybe use this wick. This is the 4-hour, the 8 hours, same kind of wick. So that's pretty good too. The day's going to close soon. So if you want to wait till the day to close out and see, but it's just a lot of good, strong support coming through. It was really resistance, and it's really hitting the last point of resistance, and then it wants to probably go up. And then they're kind of lengthy candles here. So we can see it kind of fly up. And that would start that jump across the creek and then back to the creek kind of scenario is what I'm thinking we're going to see here. And so that's MATIC. Just so you guys can see what this looks like on the daily. So now remember what I just told you about the jump across the creek. And I say these things because you should be learning Wyckoff and understand what that means. Well, I'm going to, for a second here, just look at this chart. Look at the green as the Wyckoff range, right? So we see right here some good volume, some less volume. So that's nice. And if there's going to be a jump across the creek, what do we want it to also push through? The pivot. So this is even more clarification that this is probably when I want to wham, like really good strong candle right through the 50 MA and the pivot and do a jump. So this is why I think, like, you know, even if you were to go long right now and just set your stop loss down here, you're still safe, in my opinion. It's hitting resistance, yeah, but it's looking like, okay, obviously nothing is guaranteed. I always have to say that. I'm not a financial advisor. I have to say that too, obviously, because I can only control what I spend. But right now, what it's doing is it's gearing up to jump. It really does. It looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, and then working on that 3. I'm sorry, it was a 1, 2, working on that 3. Okay. And it looks like we're about to get that jump into this, maybe into this bulk of candles here somewhere. That'd be a nice like area to like see it hit and then come back down and test. Like right around here. See that right here? See how it's all wick here and then holding up wick here. So yeah, that's about right. So that 59.60 level is going to be resistance, it appears. So we're going to get that jump, hit that, come back, test the creek, okay? And that will be the daily pivot test, in my opinion, or very, very close to that. And should be another opportunity to go long. So we're getting these opportunities to go long, okay? But you have to be very patient. You got to be strategic in a way, because you don't want to go into it. You know, if you're going to go into it before the jack, right, before the jump across the creek, because what's going to happen is going to hit this, is going to come down, and you're like, oh shoot, man, timing was not right, and then you're going to be in more of a loss, you know. But if you maybe hit it before the jack, then you'll feel a lot better. Then you can even move your stop loss up too, which is nice. So this is a good time right here, in my opinion. Now, no guarantees. It could start breaking down, but you know, knowing that there's that good support down here at that yellow line, which is just below the hourly pivot at $47.50. But really, it's $46.50. So anywhere in that range, really. So anywhere between like $47.50 and $46.50. So like that full, what is that? What penny? That's really where there's a nice support. Okay, so that's a good spot. So yeah, I could see a nice push through here. That would be, oh, and there's that one is just marked up. So this really could, we could see this do a nice. I'm feeling better and better about this. Here's something I was going to talk about this. I forgot about earlier, but I talked about having that downside coming in January. Well, it seems to happen a little bit later in December and then start of January, and now we're starting to see that reversal. And the markets are looking a lot better. We're obviously about to get a new president, and he's pretty crypto friendly. He's hiring crypto friendly people, so I can't see any short time bearish problems happening unless there's like a big worldwide thing. But yeah, this is kind of what I'm thinking. Okay, something like that. Okay, so we should probably get a good push here. It's going to take a minute and then it's going to boom, boom. Okay, so it's going to struggle a little bit and then it's going to roll. Okay. COTI is another one, COTI. As you can see, it's also finding very similar areas of resistance where the R1 is at on the hourly. It also had a nice Wyckoff accumulation as well. It did drop down a little bit more and kind of bounced a little bit, but it did make its way back up. This is a little bit different structure. So MATIC had a better support, in my opinion. Here, it's a little bit hesitant. It could come back down to the pivot. And it's really actually a little bit lower than a pivot. So if it starts doing that, then I get questionable here because I'm like, well, why is it really breaking down? So it's still right below it though. So I don't know. Maybe it's similar. I guess maybe it's a little more similar. I will say this though. What I did like about COTI or COTI, whatever it is. I broke out of this orange line here. I did like that, and it kept going. When you see those wedge potential breaks and they come back into them, I'm not a fan of that. And sometimes that means that my count is wrong. That's like that. Use that as a way to identify, like, wait a minute, I think I might be wrong. I've noticed that in most cases, when a wedge does a false break up, that I'm wrong and it's probably still going down. Okay, I've noticed that in the past. So just keep that in mind. R1 is definitely holding up here as resistance. I do see this as a 1-2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I should see a 5 and then a 4, then a 5. So it's probably going to be choppy here a little bit. Maybe MATIC is a little choppy here for a little bit too. But, I don't see it really going past the orange line. And the longer that the red 50 MA starts to curl back up, which will probably be into next week as it gets there. So this might just chop. Well, now that we're in the weekend, maybe we're going to get a choppy weekend. So it might be one of those weekends where, just ignore the charts and maybe see how it's going to be going into next week. But this is probably how it's going to look, something like this. That's going to be the 50. And hopefully this kind of wants to do this and kind of cross, something like that. All right. So you can see a little chop and then kind of meet it again and then, kind of break out. And then as this comes up, this is going to start wanting to curl upward more. Okay. That's kind of how I see the MAs moving, and that's nice. I like to see that kind of good, strong curl up and the 50 and then 200 flattening out. So just something to think about. Okay, near is a trade that I did make. I made it down here as it broke out through the pivot. This was building a nice range. This is also another one where it's Wyckoff. And they built a nice range, and it had this yellow-orange support. I almost went long down here, and I was like, well, I wasn't quite there yet. And then they hit this wick, and I was like, okay, it's still struggling. And then it broke through. I was like, boom, that was go time for me once it closed. And then it's been good ever since. So that's nice. It's getting to R1. It did break out of this, another one of those orange downward resistance lines. Those aren't like make or break lines, in my opinion, because there's only a couple taps. You want 3 or more. That's kind of how like XRP is, by the way. Let's see what that's doing. Yeah, it's holding on. But I am in near. I got in right here a little bit above the pivot. I wouldn't be like if it broke down here, I'm not like freaking out. If anything, I might even jump in more because my stop loss is down here. So all this down here is where my stop loss is at. Okay. If it starts breaking down there, then I'm gonna start getting concerned. So that's why I put my stop loss there. But I kind of wanted to see it kind of just range here and then pop again for a nice pop. But I do have my target overall at about $6.98. That's if if in fact it does move out that way. I will say the 1-to-1, in my opinion, is right around here. So there's going to be some resistance there. So we got to be careful. That's going to probably open up another opportunity to buy. So, what we could do is we might see, and I'll just kind of map it out for you a little bit. So maybe I'm thinking a little chop here possibly during the weekend. It's obviously a holiday. Eventually we'll get up to around, that 1-to-1 or a little bit above it maybe. It'd be nice if it got higher than this wick. That would be nice. But let's just say it just kind of hits there. Then we'll probably see a little bit more like this possibly. And then finally, I like it to see it eventually go up and hit that. Okay, so something like that, would be nice. So like 1, 2, so this would probably be a little higher actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. I don't know, it's perfect, but overall though, $7.50 is a really nice target, and I'll take even more profit there, if not all profit. Which will get it back to this top here again. The top is at $8.22. We could see it. That'd be nice. It'd be nice to see it come all the way to the top here, and then do a nice good pullback, and that'd be like a 1 and then a 2. And that will really help. Excuse me. And that will really help us identify that there's even more upside coming. So being in this area here, it's a good strong support. I'm not really concerned. Even if it does start to drop down, I'm not concerned about it. Kind of like how it's building up strength. Okay. RSI is kind of high. That's fine though. I mean, RSI can hang out there for a little bit and still see it climb. So, it was up here before at high, sorry, and then it came back down. Ultimately, well, it looks like maybe it even made a bull div, maybe, possibly there. I'm not sure. But either way, it was just good price action here, and it's not really moving forward. So, okay, JoJo, last week, if you're watching JoJo, how you doing? I didn't forget about you. You asked about honey, and I think it's this one, Hive Mapper, which I've never heard of before. It's on Coinbase. And he had mentioned that he bought into it. I'm assuming, when the hype was, maybe it was here. I don't know. I don't know how far this goes back. On Coinbase, it only goes to about January of last year, so it's a year old. If I don't know where you bought it in, but I think you might have mentioned that you were upside down, but you're still holding. That's fine. I mean, that happens. Trust me, I've had coins that way too. I still think I even have one. That's an old one. But anyway, I'll tell you this. I'm hopeful for you. I'm hopeful for this one for sure, because what it does look like, number one, is it hit a bottom here at 4 cents. 4 cents, 0.48, and then it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like a nice clean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, and that's probably what I'm guessing you are identifying. And then this big pullback. Now the big pullback back is pretty large. I'm not going to lie. It went way back down here, but it's an altcoin and probably doesn't have. I'm not sure what the market cap is. I didn't look at it, but the liquidity. By looking at it, see how that's really like a lot of wicks. That means there's not a lot of liquidity that's holding the price up. So, when it goes up, there's people that have a lot of this coin and they're just like selling it. There's nothing that holds it up. That's what's sketchy. I'll just tell you guys right now, when I look at charts, I'm not a fan of many wicks. I want to see more cleaner price movement and not a lot of choppiness. This is very choppy, but it's all right. I mean, it doesn't matter. We can still try to figure this out and maybe even still trade this, because I'm going to tell you right now, at the moment, this does look like 5 up, like I said, and then an ABC down, and then it looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back up for maybe a 1. So this could be a 1, 2, 1, 2. Now it's flirting with, making a lower low here. So this might not be done. I will say this though, the S1 on the daily is not lower than the all-time low. Okay. So, you know, if it does come down here and you start to see it, you know, maybe if you want to buy a little bit and maybe dollar cost average a little bit, that might help you bring your overall price average down. That's not a bad idea, but if it starts breaking down this lower low, all-time low, I'm very, very worried that this could really start dipping down, because this doesn't look like a range, because all of it's really high. So this wouldn't be a range. It would have to create its own new range, and that could be who knows where. Okay, so I'm skeptical on it, but I'm also hopeful. And I'm gonna tell you why I'm hopeful. Not only that it has 5 waves up, but when I go to the 4-hour, okay, check this out. This is good to see. So there's that ABC, and there's that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and like this was definitely like a leading ending diagonal 5. So that's cool. And this was 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, I mean, looks like a 5C. Now, see this, how it goes straight up like that? My first inclination is this is maybe an A, B, and this is still working on a C. Okay. So, but it wouldn't make a lower low, right? It might just come down here a little bit low. I don't know yet. But what I do like is that it looks like it's created a range here. So maybe this is a 1, 2, and then we're working on a 3 here. And if that's the case, then you might be happier, because you might get, obviously this thing pumps. This might pump. Okay. So where it's at right now is, if you, let's say you were not holding this one, you might be like, oh, wait a minute. I'll tell you right now, buying this right here, putting a stop loss right here is probably not a bad idea. Okay. So your stop loss would be at about 0.68. So just a little bit below it. Okay. Or, I mean, you could go down here, but I would want to go with this one. Because if it goes on here, it could probably hit the S1, then it's going to wick everything out. So if you feel inclined, and I'm not, you know, if you wanted to put your stop loss right there, just a little bit below it, so somewhere around there, okay, and possibly go here, maybe, I don't know, it's hard to say, but it looks like it's kind of doing like a Wyckoff range here, and see how it's starting to build up here. Maybe this is like a last point of support in LPS, and then we're going to get that one bam out of here. But definitely went into a range, so that's pretty good. It doesn't look like an A, B, C, D, E here. Wait a minute, hold on, does that? But then it breaks down. Huh. I guess that could be a triangle B. So that's interesting. Okay. Well, anyway, I mean, look, you go to stop loss here, make it a very small loss. It's probably worth it. Again, because if this thing starts to get above here and start to break out, it's going to probably pop to the R1. All right. You know, that's a pretty nice jump. So that would be what you want to see. And if it gets above this here, above the R1 and above this candle, it looks like you want to get above ultimately. Is that it here? It's probably this candle, the 0.0929, I think. See how it's holding up on that 50? I like that too. Let's look at the 12-hour real quick. Wait. Ah, 12 hours shows a little bit more here. Yeah, we wanted to get above the pivot. See, now when I look at 12-hour, and that's about to close 1 hour, that actually does look like it got declined. with these wicks, and it's kind of printing below the 200 and then below the EQ. So maybe this is 1, 2, 3. It looks like 5 up for sure. This is an A, B, and then a C to the S1. Okay, so maybe the C is to the S1, and then you can go if you want. Then maybe that's your long, because then you can put your stop loss under this wick, right? Because if it gets below that, then this is all still correctional. So this is cool. Okay, so here this is actually a little more confident. This adds a little more confidence. So instead of my idea was a little more risky. Let's say it starts to break down. There's probably more confidence in this. If you let's say you long, I don't know. I guess it depends also too if the weekly pivots where they change. That's another thing too. But if it starts to come down this way, like within the next 24 hours. So let's say it starts to really break down again. This could be your long because you want it to kind of bounce off that S1 and kind of do that, and then maybe come back into this range, like I talk about how it comes back into ranges, and then it does this. So that's actually a pretty cool idea. And what you can do is, if you were to go long at this S1, you would just make this wick down here as your stop loss, because this right now shows that the correction is done where this wick is here, and this is the start of a new wave. But if it breaks down below that, that means that this is still in correctional pattern. So it's okay to get out of the trade. Now, if it wicks back up again, then whatever. But we don't know if that's gonna. Once it gets below here, it's the sky's the limit. We don't know what's gonna happen, right? So it would just be completely fair to get out of it at that point and just wait for something else to happen. Okay. So that's a good scenario actually. If you're looking at grabbing some more or just getting into this is a good spot to be right here, because there's nice wicks here. This is a nice even if this S1 isn't here and it changes. I'm gonna tell you right now that this is pretty good support right here. Yeah, that's good support. Here, I'll keep it green. It should be green. Yeah, that's nice support. I like it. So I like what's happening here. I wouldn't be too. I mean, I know you're bummed or whatever, Jojo, that you're down on this, but it's got some potential for sure. We definitely see a bigger 5 up and a good potential correction here, and I like what's happening. I really do. I like this range that it's in. The 12-hour does kind of show. It's definitely hitting this hourly. The hourly pivot's definitely resistance for sure. So if it breaks above that, that's really good, because look how many wicks there are into that. So just one more time back to the daily. See where the daily pivot's at. So that's obviously a big point too. So yeah, if it comes back down there, that wouldn't be the end of the world, because this looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It really does. This definitely looks like 5 up. And this was a big pullback. So if it's coming down here, oh boy. Yeah, that S1, daily S1 is the next target. But that's really low here. So, I like to see it come back. Now, here's another thing. The daily's got a nice candle here with better volume. So that's kind of nice. See how it was kind of dying off? Oh, let's look at one more thing. Aha. When in doubt, go to the hiking, and we are doing some dojis, and that's nice. I mean, it started to turn green and then went doji red again, but it sure does look like it's trying to reverse. It's not strong reds. The strong reds are like right here, right? That's going to keep bringing us downside. We just got these wicks and we got these dojis. It went green and went back red again. So it's there's a little bit of a ping pong action here but it's not going full red again. So tomorrow's daily candle is probably going to be really good. Let's just look at the 12-hour. Oh, look at that. Look at the 12-hour. Maybe that 12-hour isn't that bad. Talk about a difference, right? I look at the 12-hour on the standard candles, and then I come back here. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't look that bad. Well, that looks bad. But then when you go to the hike in, you're like, oh, it's actually starting to reverse, right? It's starting to show me reversal. So this next 12-hour candle could actually start coming up above here and start working its way up again, you know? Because it's not doing a doji. It has a flat bottom to it. You see that? Just got a flat bottom, no wick. That's showing that there's strength there. Okay, when it has wick, it's a little bit weaker, but you see how it's got the stronger body bottom. It's got better, it's got better ground and better strength. So it could be actually reversing here. So maybe my idea of, throwing in a long here and then putting a small stop loss here is probably, it could be still in the cards. 8-hour looks good. The 4-hour, so all right, smaller time frame, and I don't like using the hike in too small time frames to look at, but it does look like that's also changing too. But that's okay. It's that 12-hour that was solid. I like that 12-hour. The 12-hour and the daily. The daily looks like it's got a nice doji going. So anyway, I hope that helps, brother. I feel for you on that. Sitting on a coin that's been just crushed for a while. It sucks not being able to get out of it, but hopefully, we're learning from those things and how to get out of them and to make sure that we don't get emotionally attached to what we're getting, and that we're just trying to build more profits to help us get into these trades and to have more to have more bankroll to add into our trade. So anyway, it looks good. This is a nice area here. It's gone into a range, and there's a potential possibility of a long right here. Okay, we are in between those pivots though. So on the downside, meaning the pivots above it and the S1's below it. So the chance of it coming down is still there. Okay, there's almost like a 50-50, right? This is a 50-50 at this point. Okay, because it has some upside, but there's definitely the downside there. So I feel 50-50 about the S1, or at least this green. This green right here is really looking like it could be in play. All right, moving on. AI16Z, man, this one crushed me. I was so upset because it was looking good and it wasn't enough. I don't even remember where I did that. I think it was here. Yeah, I think it was right on here. I thought that was the bottom there. And it went wham, just right down. Oh yeah, because that was my stop loss, was this wick here. And it bounced there too. I was like, oh, there it goes. And I kept going down. Whatever. I'm gonna take losses here and there. That's for sure. But here we go though. What's it doing? We went into this nice compression range. It had oh my gosh. I can't think of the. It broke out of the wedge and came back into it. A throw under. And so that's nice. And then it hit the top of that wedge and then came back. That's your long right there. So when you see these wedges like this and it comes out and it comes right back into it, and then it taps and it comes back down, boom, go. Okay, go. That's a really good sign because that's like that's your 1-2, and then you're gonna have your 3 pop out. I love those. I was not watching this at the moment, or I would have went in for sure right there, but it just kind of grinded its way up. I can't see this 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. This should be where a 3 is at, and it's not, because this last one looks like, well, 1, 2, 3, 4. Huh. I don't know. It's a little tricky to count, to be honest with you guys. Because this looks like the 1, 2, 3 for sure. But then you got this price action here. That's probably where 5 ended, and this was 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you got this for 5, but that would be only 3, right? And then we're breaking down below where I thought was 2. So that's not good. I'm not sure if this is done, and it's not finding any real support from this pullback. So I'm just kind of watching this and seeing what's happening, but I was really thinking that we were going to start moving up here soon, and it really didn't. Um, because I thought this was maybe 5 up. Oh, you know what it could be? Wait a minute. I just saw this right now. Maybe it's here. Maybe this is like a leading, an ending diagonal 5. Like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because maybe this is where 3 ends. Because we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's it. There we go. I just found it. Just found it with you all. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. I like it. All right. So then, well, then going back to this, then maybe maybe we do look for some support here soon. Because I thought maybe this might not be 5 up, and now I definitely do think it's 5 up because that really does look that way. So I'm going to keep this on the radar for sure and look for a good count up and a good count down for a good entry. This is just super chop, escalator down type price action. I hate it. I like to find something that's more easier to count. So I just want to see it do something up, do something back down, and then go, okay. I want clear pictures. I don't want to be messing with chop like this, escalator down type. I mean, honestly, I'd rather it just came straight down and up and then did some really easy candles, and it just didn't. So let's look at 4 hours just for a second here. Yeah. See, there's like no definitive B. That's what I don't like here either. Unless you want to like dive into the weeds here, but I'm gonna let it come back up if it does. This was kind of a nice candle. This candle here is decent. Yeah, it kind of came up and then back down, but then it didn't really go down any farther. It just kind of stopped. And now see how we're going back up again. So this is probably forming a bottom here. So this would have been like the 4. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just gonna keep watching this. Sorry, guys. I'm just kind of spacing out and seeing where this would go. I thought I had a little bit more on this one, but I guess I didn't. Here, I will show this though. If you, actually, I'm curious. Is anyone starting to do this support and resistance boxes? And if you are, let me know if that's helping you out too. Just like because I'm really focusing on this now. That's really part of my plan. Support. I call them support levels. I mean, obviously support levels, but that's like when I'm like you say, yeah, I'm using support levels. That's what I mean. That right there seems to be pretty important. So maybe that's what I would like to see. Kind of get back up to here, maybe, and then maybe see what kind of price action I get back up first before I kind of go into this. I'll tell you one thing though, the Fisher is getting pretty low on that 4 hour. I like that. I like the low for the 4 hour Fisher because it definitely points out some bottoms. See right here, it came down here and then it did one more and they did one more low. It almost had like a bull dip on the Fisher. That appears to be pretty solid. You see that on the 4 hour, especially below the lines. I don't even know what those lines mean, but I would be looking for that as showing the reversal too. Okay, last but not least, I know everyone talks about BONK. We used to talk about BONK for a while. Yeah, BONK is back. BONK is back, right? Check this out. So another one that went into a Wyckoff range and it tapped the S1 on a spring type action candle. Volume starts to kick up again on the 4 hour. And not only do we get above this area here, we use that as support. There's that yellow line support again. And then we break up above the pivot. And now we are breaking above the R1. This is not a sleeper here. Don't sleep on this one. It's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. So this can actually get all the way up to maybe R2, which is 4 zeros and then 4, 0, 4, 2. So if you're looking at your chart, just look at these wicks over here on the side, that kind of stop point. Or if you're looking at pivots, look at your R2 level. That's a nice level for it to come back. That's probably going to be like, we might get a jack here, and all of a sudden we'll be like, look at, because BONK is hitting 18% today. Okay, well, tomorrow it might be the start of a new day is in about 45 minutes. We might see us keep going, have another good strong day tomorrow, and then maybe find some resistance. There'll be some profit taking and make it come back. Okay, but then probably hit the jump across the creek and then back to test the creek is kind of what I'm thinking, right? So that creek is like this, and like we're just about we're about to see it jump right now, right? So that's why we're going to probably get something else here. Like, see how it's getting through this orange? Once it gets through this orange, it's probably going to do a nice jump, my guess. Okay. And these ones here, it's going to hit that, but it's probably going to really push through because maybe people are getting euphoric on it because this is the 3 of 3. So because 1, 2, and this is getting that 3 of 3 action. And then we'll see maybe that 4 will be the comebacker, but the 4 is probably chop, and then 5, and then back. Okay. So BONK is back for sure. But I want to show you one more thing about BONK. All right. Oh, look at that candle. It's pushing. It's like wanting to do this right now. This is so funny. Yeah, it's really pushing strong right now because people are starting to see it because it's at 19% for the day. So people are like, oh, look at BONK, and they're getting kind of crazy. It's hitting the last point of resistance, the orange, but I don't know. If it's gonna come back from that, it's gonna be doing it soon, or it's gonna push through it. And if I had to guess, I'm thinking it's pushing through. Check this out, though. Look at this. You guys want to see something cool? I've been kind of waiting to share this. So I noticed this a while ago, and I said, "Where's BONK on the macro?" Right? Well, here it is. All right. Check this out. This 3-day. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4 with the triangle, 5. It's 5 up. Big old triangle. And this would make sense too, because there was all this like weird counts here with the 3 up, and it didn't get to the top, and then, you know what I mean? So, and this really was like a 3 for me because of the candles, right? And I was thinking, like, gosh, there's no way that this is 1, 2, 3, and this is the 4 of 3, and this is 5 of 3. I mean, that would just take so long. I don't see how that's possible. So I have this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 3, and then this long triangle, and it really looks good too, like ABC, 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 ABC for DE, right? And then it went wham and just went, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can count it on a smaller time frame. Well, if that's the case, right? Well, for wave 2, we would look for a pullback. Well, look what I do. I come all the way to the all-time low, which was right here at a 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, whatever, and then 292, right? Just look at the all-time low, which is on January 7th. I pull fibs from the top, and look, it hit the 50 almost perfectly. It even almost hit here, and then it hit here. I'm like, oh my goodness, is this done? Okay. Now, if this is all 1, 2, 3 is going to be wild, but it makes sense because BONK, like, it did well, but it didn't do, what is the word I'm looking for? It didn't do like Pepe well, or, beginning of Dogecoin, right? The meme coin, right? But it's a traded coin on basically everything, right? I think you can get BONK on Coinbase, you can get everywhere. Well, look at the weekly pivot and look at the weekly candle, right? The week's not done yet, but look what it's doing. It's creeping back up above the pivot and it's engulfing this other one with just this, with volumes about the same. This thing looks like it's ready to start going again. Okay. This is like grab your popcorn, possibly get ready. Okay. I like BONK. We've made some good money at BONK, right? But are we about to see this thing really start moving up again? Now there might be thoughts that this is 1, 2, and then we got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that might complete. But this is just 1, 2, 3. All this would be, a wave 5. I don't know. I just don't see this. I see this more as the triangle because it really does look like a triangle, right? Because even came down here and kind of finished off the E like almost perfectly. So this is what I'm going with. I'm going with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2. All right. So just out of curiosity, where does that put wave 2, wave 3? Well, it puts it way the heck up here. That's crazy, right? Just out of curiosity, like, should we look at what a percentage that is? Man, if this is right, this is. But I mean, I know Chris was talking about, don't wait for alt season. Yeah, he's right. Don't wait for alt season. Make money now, right? But eventually, alt season will be here, where you're basically throwing darts at winners. It's a 2,000%, 20x to 20x. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Throw 10, those 10 grand in that thing, 20x. Yeah, you're doing okay. That'd be a nice trade. But anyway, look, I mean, it's still moving up right now. It's actually now getting, as we're talking here, the weekly is getting higher. Now it is going above the weekly pivot. So I like to see how this closes here, but this is a 1, 2. So this is a a wave 2. What we'll like to see, this is what's really neat too, right? With the pivots. Okay. So I think is going to happen if I'm correct, and this is actually all 1, 2. This is my last one. I know I'm taking forever on this, but we go 1, 3, 4, 5. Right, back up to the R1. Then it starts to correct, come back down, hits the pivot, and then rolls. Okay. So that would be your 1. This is your 1, 2, 1, 2, and then your 3 would just be takeoff. Okay. So a lot to work with here. I don't know if it does this exactly, but that's kind of interesting on where the pivots are on the weekly, considering on where I'm thinking this could go. Remember I talked about, hey, on those larger coins, they don't normally go past the R5. On the smaller ones, though, and the meme coins, they can push through. But even if it gets to the R5, that's a 1-to-1. I mean, that would be fine. That's still a nice move. And this is just like a big, corrective pattern, which I doubt. Yeah, pretty wild. Anyway, thought I'd share that with you guys, just kind of get you a little excited about what's potential, and BONK is solid. I mean, this really just kind of it really didn't like pop. It popped, it did, but it didn't like go way up. Like you look at Pepe, I mean that thing goes way up, even on XRP. But here it just kind of like just stayed in this area, right? So that's why I think this is a triangle. But anyway, that's it. It's just an hour and 45 minutes, not very long. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you like the ideas and thoughts. Give me some feedback if you can. If you like if you're using those levels, resistance support levels, that would be great to see if that's helping you out too. It's helping me out a ton. Although it kind of colors my chart up a little bit more, but it doesn't matter. I want to use it to find buying opportunities. So anyway, take care, everyone. God bless. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.